You know how I hate big spread numbers, and that 14 number is massive. There's also a massive number in that Bills Jets game as well. I believe it was a 12 and a
Mm-hmm.
half. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So with that number, I generally shy away from big numbers, but I would take the Bills, man, because I think that Jets team is such a fraudulent team. And it comes down to just how much dismay I have grown to have for Zach Wilson over the last 2 or 3 weeks, just because the guy is not getting any better. Like, I'm watching the Patriots and the Jets game. And he thinks he's like some sort of Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes type of player where he'll like get out there, play some backyard football like Josh Allen and flick it downfield. Like he looks like that guy that like me in the backyard practicing Josh Allen moves, but he's actually really bad at it just like I am. Like he's throwing some of the worst picks I've ever seen. And I thought we were past this. I thought Zach Wilson from year one to year two, especially sitting out the first month of the season, learned some of the stuff to be more careful with the ball. And for a few games, he was fine with it. He didn't turn the ball over, but he is just so stupid. Like he's a special kind of bad Puma when it comes to quarterback decision making. And this is coming from a guy who watches Mac Jones on a weekly basis. Like Mac Jones makes some dumb plays. Like trust me, he makes some very dumb plays. Nowhere near as bad as Zach Wilson is.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have the Bills winning this
They
game,
don't
but
roll.
I don't think they're going to roll. I mean, they couldn't cover the spread against the Packers last week, and granted, that was because they took the foot off the gas. I have the Jets keeping it within the number. I mean, I was kind of kicking myself. I missed out on the Jets plus 13. It's down to 12 and a half right now. Everything you said about Zach Wilson is spot on. The one bright spot is the defense of the New York Jets here,
Very
and
good.
I
Very good.
think it's great. And we did see this on Sunday, where the only semblance of an offense that the Jets, not the Jets, that the Packers could muster against the Buffalo Bills was on the ground, and they were almost getting like 6 yards a clip with Aaron Jones and with a little sprinkle of AJ Dillon here or there. I mean, the Jets, they're going to want to run the football. They're going to run it with James Robinson. You're going to see a little bit more production out of him this week now that he's more in the swing of things, and Michael Carter. So I think they're going to run the football a lot. That's why I think it's close. I don't really like a big spread for a divisional game either. But with all things being said, I have the Jets keeping it within the number, but I do think the Bills win. And honestly, I know Saleh has come out and said that Zach Wilson is our quarterback moving forward, regardless. But
Mm-hmm.
at some point, like
Mm-hmm.
you have to understand
Mm-hmm.
read the room here. This is a great defense. We're wasting it away with arguably the worst
Preach.
quarterback in the NFL right
Preach.
now. And I'm saying that as like Teddy Two Gloves Bridgewater is better than Zach Wilson. Mac Jones is better than Zach Wilson right now, even though he looked shaky in that game against the Jets last week. But I mean, at some point, you got to have to think of either Mike White is going to be back here, or maybe Joe Flacco will be out of the doghouse for some reason because he's listed as quarterback 3 and he was listed inactive last week. One of those two guys is going to have to step in because it's not like they're out of the hunt for anything in the AFC right now, surprising enough, and they're wasting this defense.
Here's my thing, Robert Sala. I've never fully bought into him. I think he's a great defensive coordinator that got mistaken for a head coach. And yes, his defense is great. It's starting to come into form this year. Last year, his defense was horrible, but I think Robert Sala needed to send a message on Sunday. Zach Wilson threw that first pick. All right, everybody throws one pick a game, whatever. Let's move on. That second pick was horrendous. Like it was just so god awful bad. The running around, flicking in the air. And then, if you think it couldn't get any worse, he does it again. He does this bullshit where he constantly runs around and then throws it across the middle of the field because he thinks his arm is going to be strong enough to get it there. I think after that third pick, Robert Sala needed to have the balls to bench him. And not bench him because you wanted to move on to Mike White or Joe Flacco, but bench him to send a freaking message. Because this is year freaking 2, Zach Wilson. You can't keep making these dumb decisions. And I think Robert Sala he's a weak coach, man. He had a great opportunity to send a great message to a young quarterback, like obviously Bill Belichick did a couple weeks ago. And obviously, I get it, Bill Belichick and Robert Saleh, you can't compare them. But Robert Saleh needs to understand he's probably coaching for his job if this thing unravels. And Zach Wilson is going to be the reason why it's going to unravel. So you got to keep him on the tracks. And I would have sent a message and benched him for the rest of that game.
Exactly. Exactly.
A little bit of news on the Bill side. Obviously, Tre'Davious White has come off of IR. Any chance he plays on Sunday?
I'm expecting him to play. I don't think he really needs that much of a ramp up in this defense. He's been part of a Leslie Frazier defense for God knows how long at this point. Do I think he'll be on a snap count potentially? Yes, especially if this game gets out of hand and the Bills take the foot off the gas. But I expect him to be active, for this 1 o'clock kickoff.
Okay. And then finally, any chance Naheem Hines is going to play, and what kind of reps are we seeing out of him? It could be a Christian McCaffrey type of, like, we got a package for him week one, maybe 10 to 12 carries kind of day, or is it going to be, hey, we'll just bring you along slowly? You got a couple carries here and there.
I'm going to go with a couple carries here and there, if anything. Maybe he'll play like 5 to 10 snaps tops, but I mean, if he's listed as inactive, honestly would not be shocked.
Okay, cool. All right, let's move on to